Vermont South is a highly owner-occupied area within the influence of Glen Waverley. This is mainly due to its large land parcels, few subdivisions, low building density, abundant parks, good educational resources, and very complete surrounding commercial facilities, and even due to the not-so-convenient public transport. There is no public housing, no industry, and no train station in this area. It is a very quiet and peaceful area. The owner occupancy rate in Vermont South is 86%, 88% are detached houses, and the average length of residence is 21 years. This is the area with the longest length of residence in Melbourne's eastern suburbs, and it is also leading nationwide. These data show that after so many years of development, Vermont South has not become more commercialized, nor has there been much subdivision development, so it still has a strong appeal to owner-occupier families. Historically, Vermont South became independent from Burwood East in 1968. This was because Burwood East's growth and industrial development required more housing at that time. Recently, Vermont South has benefited from Glen Waverley's rise. As Glen Waverley became more expensive, people started looking for better value in Vermont South. Educationally, the average level of primary and secondary schools in Vermont South is quite high. Except for Parkmore Primary School and Forest Hill Secondary College, which are relatively weaker, other primary and secondary schools are relatively good. Looking at the resident structure, the proportion of Chinese in Vermont South is over 30%, which is a relatively high proportion. In terms of facilities, Vermont South has its own library, SportLink Sports Centre, as well as a small shopping centre and a large Bunnings. In addition, Vermont South is very close to Glen Waverley Shopping Centre, Ringwood's Eastland, Costco, and Forest Hill Chase. The 24-hour Burwood One is also within a short distance. So it seems like Vermont South has nothing, but it has everything. It is a very quiet and peaceful area suitable for owner occupation. From a transport perspective, the lack of a train line in Vermont South is a major drawback. The Route 75 tram to the city is very slow and much criticised. However, this also helps to keep the environment quiet and peaceful. But road transport in Vermont South is very convenient. It is close to Burwood Highway, Springvale Road and Canterbury Road, and access to the M3 is also very easy. Next, let's look at it by area. We've divided it into 3 areas. The first area is south of Burwood Highway. This belongs to the Highvale Secondary College School Zone. The primary school zone is Whedon Heights Primary School. Because it is closer to Glen Waverley, house prices here are relatively high. There is a waste transfer station in the southeast corner here, mainly recycling general recyclables and large non-hazardous waste. Due to the relative isolation of the high slope, the impact on the surrounding environment is actually quite limited. Also, a large retirement community will be built near Burwood Highway, covering about 25,000 square meters. Area 2 is in the upper right corner of Vermont South. Its secondary school zone is Vermont Secondary College. The primary schools here are Vermont Primary and Livingstone Primary, both of which are excellent schools. Therefore, this is the most popular educational sector in Vermont South. It's also close to Bellbird Dell Reserve, the park on Tarara Road, and the Morak Golf Course. Plus, the reserve previously set aside for a highway will now become a park instead, which further enhances the appeal of this area. A downside is that some streets in this area are quite steep, which might be a disadvantage for families with elderly members. Additionally, some parts of the land are affected by bushfires and flooding. It's worth mentioning that on both sides of Tarara Road, there are still some low-density luxury mansions on large plots. Some prices even exceed $5 million. This is the most prestigious part of Vermont South. Area 3 is the left half north of Burwood Highway. It features Emmaus College, which has a decent ranking. The local public secondary school is Forest Hill College. Its ranking has been rising lately, but it may take some time to gain full recognition from parents. As for primary school zones, they belong to Livingstone Primary and Parkmore Primary. Livingstone is quite large and offers very high quality education. The houses in this area vary in age. The first major residential project when Vermont South was established was in this area. It began in 1968, located between the west side of Livingstone Primary and Stanley Road, called Burwood Rise, as it's one of the highest points in Vermont South. Also, near the small park on Scarborough Road, there was land reserved for a school. It was developed later, only after the 1990s. Then there's Prestbury Drive and its surrounding streets. It used to be a boarding school for a church and was also developed after the 1990s. Due to the late mover advantage, the entire neighbourhood has a more cohesive look and the local environment is excellent. So despite the smaller land sizes here, property prices are quite high. Additionally, there's a government community garden here, which is very attractive to families with seniors who enjoy gardening. That concludes our area analysis of Vermont South by JL Property Consulting. We hope this is helpful for those looking to buy a home.